All right, I'm going to teach weight and balance. All right. So here we have our pre-flight form with us. I got it also here on the board here. First thing we're going to figure out is our empty weight, okay? As well as what is the actual limit. So this is where we would either go into the website or the POH itself. So if you go here on unitedflight.com, I'll show you right here. So whenever I go on to unitedflight.com-fleet, so I got the fleet right here, and we're gonna do our airplane 13 Charlie Bravo. It's a Cessna. So whenever I go, you saw it right there, right? So here I'm on the fleet page of the UFS website, fleet. Go scroll down, I find my airplane, I see that that's the weight and balance section right there. Click on the weight and balance, and then it gives me the weight and balance right there. So what can I see right here? Well, I see that, you know, they did some stuff, they took some stuff out and then maybe put some stuff in, who knows, right? They had to reweigh the airplane again. But at the end of this document, you see that it says 1548. That's how much the pounds are right there. Okay? 1548 with an arm of 40.44 and, you know, a moment of whatever that is, right? We'll go put that up there. Next thing I want to know too is the limit of my airplane. So this is a POH kind of question, right? This can be found in the limitations section of the POH, which is section 2. So the limitations, if you were to guess how much a Cessna can hold, right? What's the maximum takeoff weight for a Cessna? What would you guess?
2,500.
You're actually very, very close.
Okay. For
Yeah, for real. You're really, really close, actually.
Okay.
So whenever I go over here into section 2, here, look, and I'll show the camera here as well. Section 2, limitations, and you see how you go over here and you can see airspeed, power plant, weight. Okay, let's go into the weight. So weight is, looks like 2.6. Go here and scroll over here a little bit. Center of gravity, normal category, limits. Weight limitation. So look, what does it say right there?
Maximum ramp weight, 2,407 pounds.
What does it say for the maximum takeoff weight?
2,400 pounds.
2,400 pounds is the takeoff weight. So I'll go ahead and put that as like my limit.
Okay.
Limit right here. Move this chair out the way. Limit equals 2,400 pounds. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now I have here my empty weight, which I looked onto the United Flight Systems website and figured out that my empty weight right here was 1548. And I'm just gonna go ahead and round up, so 1549. That's in pounds. Alright.
Yes, sir.
My arm, which is the CG, it's the inches aft of the datum, so they're measuring from where the datum is and figuring out this number right here. So let me go back in here and write 40.4, and I'll write my moment right here. 6.2. All the moments are always going to be big numbers. So I'm going to also round up here on the decimals. 62,635. That's what I got. So me and you are going to create this scenario where we're going to do this weight and balance for, okay? We can either have it be like on the check ride where we have a scenario where we're going to take, 3 passengers with this amount of baggage and this amount of fuel to get to this place. Me and you, we're just going to go on a 2-hour flight, just me and you, right? Mm-hmm. So go ahead and tell me what your weight is.
About like 165.
165?
Yeah.
I'm 180. Go ahead and tell me what those two numbers are combined. If you could use your calculator.
Should be like 345.
345. I'm gonna write 345 in the front seat column. 345. That's right.
Yes, sir.
And you'll kind of realize what we're doing here. We're gonna add all these numbers up together and kind of use them and see exactly how much we're gonna be weighing here at the end, as well as at the beginning too.
Yes, sir.
So,
Okay.
345 is what's going to be on the front seats of our airplane. What's going to be in the rear seats? Well, me and you are going to take some bags with us. Let's call that 20 pounds. My bag weighs 10, your bag weighs 10. So 10 pounds each, which equals 20 pounds of rear seat baggage.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Pounds. Okay. And we got nothing in the baggage compartment, so let's go 0.
Yes, sir.
In the event you did have baggage, there's also limitations for the baggage. Well, you're only supposed to have like 200 back there. So that's also here in the limitations as well. A lot of the airplanes have 200-foot baggage limit for the actual thing right here. I'm looking right here for this airplane. It's actually 120. So 200 for some other airplanes, but so all right, we figured out this. Let's figure out how we're gonna figure out the arms for our weight that we put in for our front seat, rear seat, and baggage. I printed out this document here. Let me see. This is from section 6 of the POH. Right here, this page right here. This is your loading arrangement. This is going to be your arms for said front seat, rear seat, and baggage. So as I see right here, loading arrangements, as I read right here, the station on the pretty picture right here for the front seat is 37. So you see that right there, 37?
Yes, sir.
37, that's how many inches is where it is. 37?
Inches.
What's for the rear seat?
It is 73.
73. What's the baggage?
95 inches.
95. All right. So how this kind of works is, I want you to think of how this is supposed to work, right? So we're making a table, but we're going to do some math. We're going to be adding down columns, or we're going to be multiplying across columns.
Okay.
So weight times arm equals moment. You could remember that by the acronym WHAM.
Wait.
Weight times arm equals moment. That's just your
Okay.
that's your equation right there.
Yes, sir.
Weight times arm equals moment. So let's use our calculator here. I'm gonna get my calculator here on my iPad,
Got you.
just so we can all work here together here.
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna multiply across. All right, 345 times my arm of 37 gives me 12,765. 12,765. All right. What do I got next for my rear seat? Well, I said that I was going to put 20 pounds in the rear seat. That's being our bags back there, right?
Yes, sir.
Times 73,460. Okay? And my baggage, I'll multiply this out. What am I going to get?
0.
I'm going to get 0 because 0 multiplied by number is 0. All right, now that we've reached this, okay, you see how on your actual pre-flight form, you see how you have like ones, you have a 2, you have a 3 on the left.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay, so this is where you would run up, kind of what's happening, right? So you come from this area right here, you add up, and you figure out what is your zero fuel weight,
sir.
and it is. What is your weight of the airplane? You load it up without fuel, right? We know what the empty weight is. We know what we are going to be in there. We know what we're going to put in the bag. We know what we're putting in the bags. We don't know how much weight of gas we're putting in it just yet, though. So let's go ahead and add all this up together.
1603.
1549 plus. We're adding down the column.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Plus 20. 19 14 is our zero fuel weight. 1914. Okay? Alright. We need to know our arm and our moment. We're going to figure out our moment by doing the exact same thing. Coming down and adding that into that box right there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the moment is going to be the empty weight moment, 62,635,
Yes, sir.
plus the moment of the front seat, 12,765, plus 1,460, plus 0, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, 76, 860. All right. Now, how would we figure out our arm here? Well, we have two numbers in the equation. How can we use this?
Division.
We can use division here in order to figure out what X is the arm, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, you take your little WHAM acronym, divide by the weight, the moment. So we would take this weight right here and divide it by the moment, 76,860 divided by 1914 equals 40.15. I'm gonna put 40.2. I'm gonna round up. I don't need to go into tenths here all the time. 40.2 is our zero fuel weight moment, and that'll come into handy. So I'm even gonna put a little CG right here, because we're gonna mark that here on our performance. On our weight and balance graph here when we're done. All right, let's figure out our usable fuel. Okay. Me and you are gonna take off with full fuel. Okay. With full fuel, and with this airplane, we need to figure out exactly how much fuel this airplane can take. So again, we kind of come over here and look into section 2 of the limitations, and figure out fuel limits. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So read me what we got here.
Fuel limitation, two standard tanks are 21.5 U.S. gallons each. So that's 43 gallons total. Oh, yes, that's right there. Usable fuel off-flight conditions, 40 U.S. gallons.
Yeah.
And then unusable fuel, 3 U.S. gallons.
So you see here for the Cessna, we actually have 3 different tanks that our airplane can have. Now, for a lot of our airplanes, it's going to be that 40-gallon usable, or I should say the 43-gallon one. Some of our airplanes do have that 50-gallon usable. Okay. On the top of my head, 68 Lima, 19 66 Foxtrot, both have 50-gallon usables. So for this airplane, I'll just tell you right now, it has 40 gallons usable. Okay, but this is for something that we would have to do. We'd have to go look at the actual airplane, or go look at something in the actual because the POH isn't going to adherently tell us how much it has. We're looking at the POH right now, and it doesn't even say, right? It just says what the options are, okay? So this is something we'd actually have to go look into the airplane and go find. And you can find it on the fuel selector as well. You can look at the fuel selector and go, okay, usable is this much. Okay. Alright. So this one has 40 gallons. We're taking 40 gallons usable, that is.
Yes, sir.
40 gallons usable. Alright, 40 gallons usable. So we're gonna put gallons right here into the usable column. Okay? We've been making all this chart with pounds though. A gallon of fuel is 6 pounds. So, in order to figure out what our actual weight is for that column, we need to do some more math in order to put that number in that box right there. So look at right here. 40 gallons usable times 6. Okay? 40 gallons times 6. We'll get a number here. 40 times 6. 240.
Yes, sir.
240 is how much weight of fuel we're going to put. Now, how do we figure out our arm for our fuel? Our arm for our fuel is going to be back into this graph right here, back into this loading arrangement right here. So what we're going to look at is we're going to read on this thing the notes, okay? So when I read the notes right here, it says, the usable fuel CG arm for standard, long range, and integral tanks is loaded at station 48. What does that mean? Well, 48 tells me that this is where the fuel is. The CG of the fuel, 48. So all the other fuel on this chart, on this weight and balance chart, is going to be 48. Okay? So now that we have these two numbers right here, we can now do some multiplication and find out what is our moment. 48 arm times 240.
Station 48.
11. Alright. So 11,520 is our weight, or excuse me, our moment for our usable fuel. Alright. Now we're going to figure out what our ramp weight is on the ramp. So, with our airplane loaded, with you and me in it, with our bags, with the fuel in it, we're now going to figure out what we're going to be sitting, what the airplane weighs as we're sitting here on the ramp calling for, to go to the Delta ramp, right? To go taxi out, for departure here at, Hooks, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add these two numbers here together, 1914 plus 240. $2,154 is our ramp weight. So like I said, this is the weight we're going to be sitting at on the ramp. Okay? We also got some other numbers here that we can add here on the moment side. These two, 76,860 plus 11,520 equals 88,380. Okay, 88,380. Now, how are we going to find the arm for our ramp weight? How are we gonna find it? I'm curious.
Probably the same method, division.
Division, right?
Yes, sir.
Finding out the inside square, you're just gonna divide.
Yes,
what are we gonna divide?
88,380 divided by the weight. The
Yes.
weight,
Perfect.
2,000.
Perfect. Good job.
Yes, sir.
2,054. All right, so we got a new CG right here for our ramp weight, 41.0 CG.
Yes, sir.
And you don't even really need to find this out. I'll even just go ahead and cross it out just for the hell of it. But it's not that important. We don't necessarily need to know what our CG is while we're sitting on the ramp. Now, when we're going for the takeoff, we do need to know. So let's figure out exactly what our takeoff weight is. So now here's the next little grid that we're going to solve for. All right, startup fuel. So as you see right there on the pre-flight form, what does it say? It says start, taxi, run up fuel. So in order to do all that, start, taxi, and run up, it takes fuel, right? So from our usable fuel that we have in there, we need to subtract some in order for us to go out there and do the run up and start the airplane, right? How much would that be? That's a good question. I like to say it's either between a gallon to a gallon 0.5. So how much does a gallon weigh? Well, we already determined that it was 6. So let's just say that we take an extra long run up and we use 1.5 gallons for our run-up. 1.5 gallons times 6 is 9. So it takes 9 gallons. And this is the first time we're actually going to subtract. We've been adding on this column for a long time, right? But since we're now subtracting, we're burning fuel, right? This is the first time we're burning fuel. We're going to be subtracting this number as well as the moment right here. So you'll even see on the pre-flight form, it says the negative sign right there. All right, now that we figured out what the weight is we're going to take out, we're now going to figure out what our moment is. But we need to figure out what our arm is. How would we figure that out? Well, we already figured out where the fuel is being located where the fuel is located on the arm. Where did we figure it out? Well, we figured it out here on the usable fuel. Makes sense? So like this 48 is actually going to go right here to the startup. For the startup taxi fuel. Why? Because it's in the same place. It's being burned from the same CG location. 48. All right. What's negative 9? Negative 9, I'm going to go ahead and get some calculators out.
Yes, sir.
Times 48. 432, and that is a negative number. 432 is the negative number right there. All right. Now that we figured out our startup weight, our startup weight that we're going to take out, we're now going to figure out what our takeoff weight is. So now we're sitting out here, rolling onto the runway. Now we know exactly how much we're going to weigh right there, and what our CG is and what our moment is. When we take our ramp weight, 2,154 minus 9, 2,145. 2145. Is this within limits?
Yes.
How do you know?
The max weight was 2,400.
That's exactly right.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly right. So our takeoff is within limits.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's figure out our moment. Let's go 88,380. Okay, whenever I subtract my 88,380 minus my startup moment, 432, I get 87,948. 87,948. With this, I have my moment, and now I can find my takeoff weight, use my moment and my takeoff weight to find my CG for my takeoff weight. Alright, so now I got that big number right there. I'm going to go ahead and divide that 87,948. Divide by 2,145, and get my CG of 41,000. I'm sorry. It's my CG of 41.0. 41.0 CG. Alright, this is our weight, our CG, and our moment as we're, holding short of the runway and we're taking off, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we take off and we go do our flight, what did I say? We're going to burn, or we're going to be in the air for 2 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 hours. 2-hour flight. With a 2-hour flight, we have to now figure out, for our fuel burn, this next one right here, we're going to figure out our fuel burn. How long is it going to take us, or how much weight are we going to burn on this 2-hour flight? What do? Well, we have to go into a new section in the POH. That is section 5, performance charts. And this is different for either the Pipers or the Cessnas, but I'm going to find the one for the Cessna here and show you exactly what it looks like when I look at this page right here, the cruise performance page. right here. That one right there. We'll use this and figure out the number in order to know how much fuel we're burning per hour. As I said, we're going on a 2-hour flight. We'll just double that number up. So I'm going to say that looking at this cruise performance chart, our pressure altitude as we're flying is 4,000 feet with a standard temperature, and our horsepower is 2,500, let's say. All right? What is it telling me? Well, it's telling me that my gallons per hour that I'm burning is 8.0, all right? So I'm burning, that's a terrible 8 right there, 8 gallons per hour. 8 per hour. Oh my gosh, I can't spell. And I said it was in gallons, all right? 2 hours, 8 gallons per hour. All right, we're obviously now going to burn 16 gallons, right? 16 gallons. All right, do we put 16 right here in the fuel burn? No, we do not. What do we need to do with this number 16?
Times it by 2.
No, not by 2. We already did that. We need to times it by 6.
Oh, yes.
We need, yeah, because now we're going from gallons to pounds. 16 times 6.
96.
96 pounds.
Yes, sir.
96 pounds. All right, and this is again, we're fuel burning, so it's going to be a negative number here. 2,145. And I just want to say generally, your gallons per hour that you're going to burn is always going to be between 8 and 10. 10 is more common with the actual pipers though. I just want to say that here for the video as well. But that all depends on where your actual, what your performance charts say in the section 5. All right, 2,145 minus 96 equals, for our landing weight, 2,049. Oh, before we do that, we need to find this square. I got a little too ahead of myself there. What is our fuel burn CG?
48.
48.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Yeah, because it's the same station. It's the same exact point that's being burned. Usable fuel, startup fuel, now fuel burn. All right, let's figure out this moment right here. The moment for our fuel burn, 96 times 48, negative number, negative 4,608 minus 40. Okay? 4,608. When we take this number and just do the arithmetic for the takeoff weight, what do we get?
80.
Our ending. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
340 is our ending moment, our landing weight moment. All right, now we can figure out the CG here. CG for the landing weight. So I'm going to take that big number that I got in that moment, 83,340, divided by 2,049, which will give me 40.7. All right. Am I in limits for my landing weight?
Yes, sir.
I am. What is my landing weight limit?
I guess. It'd still be 2,400?
It would be 2,400. It'd be the exact same as takeoff.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
That's a good looking weight and balance right there. We're not done yet. We figured out our weight. We're within limits. Now we need to do the balance part of the weight and balance, okay? Well, how do we do that? We now go to section 6 again and go to the graphs So we see the graphs right here, and I'm looking at this graph right here. This graph right here, this is the Cessna graph right here. We're going to use this graph in order for us to determine if we are within limits. Okay? So I'll use the graph, and I'm going to take my first point, okay, my zero fuel, the number 1 right there, and mark that. Where is that on the graph? So I'm going to use my pen here, and I'll show you here in a minute. But 1914, so I'm going to go here on the left-hand side of this graph right here on this axis right here, 1914, and then use the actual CG location of 40.2 and figure out where that would be on it. So as I use my graph, I see my zero fuel weight is right there. Okay, that dot right there, my zero fuel weight is right there. I'm going to do my second point, my taxi weight, 2,145. So we're going up in the pounds. Okay. Then I go over to here to my 41 CG, and I see that my point is right here. Okay, so I'm still within my limits. All right, let's do our final one, our landing weight. 2,049, let's call it 2,050. Okay, and what is my CG? 40.7. Right there. Any takeoff and 0. All right, so now I have my points right here. So I have my 0 fuel weight point, my landing point, my takeoff point. So you see, as time goes on, right, my 0 fuel weight, we add our fuel, which then comes up on the graph, makes it right there. As we burn fuel, our weight goes down, as well as our CG all shifts around, okay? That's how you do a weight and balance, okay? This is how you figure out if it's within balance limits and weight limits. Using the charts, using all this, as well as going through your whole entire pre-flight form, working through the weight and balance together, and figuring it out. Now, you could do this for any airplane, right? As long as you know the basic CG limits of the areas, as well as you know the empty weight, how much fuel you're going to take, what's the scenario, what's your front seat, what's your rear seat, what's your baggage and all that, you can figure all this stuff out. And like on the check guide, this scenario will be given to you. So, all makes sense? All right, sweet.